Крафтинг из аметиста. Да. Короче, скрафтили D20 из аметиста. Погнали. Большое расслабляющее видео.
With a stone like this, it's important to get
Есть? И 3.
the best yield you can. At first, I dopped this stone up by hand, but I could tell that I was leaving a lot of meat on the
Короче, не
bone.
особо.
So being an
помогает.
engineer, I used photogrammetry to scan the rock. Then I took a STL of my star cut shape and compared the two to find a really good orientation. Then to
Ага, он отсканировал камень, чтобы, по-моему, через фотометрию, чтобы научным путем выяснить, как лучше его обтесать.
transfer that to the top, I actually printed a negative of the stone into a little block that could fit into my transfer jig for perfect alignment.
Ух, столько всякого оборудования. Начал. Круто. Нашли в машине, специально начал шлифовать камень. Получился нужный объект.
Because this is a really complicated shape and I wanted to make sure I was getting the best yield, I decided to cut the first side down kind of like a rough cut only. Then I flipped the stone over and worked the second side. After the second side is finished, I'll come back to the first side.
Интересно, как он снимает вот этот клей, на который он сажает камень. Специальной химией, наверное. Круто. Я думал, он будет чем-нибудь резать. Там, каким-нибудь. Или вытесывать, так сказать. А он на шлифмашинке его делает.
Okay, so I almost have the profile down to the right shape, and you can see some of the areas are the original amethyst surface, like the corners there. And that's okay because when we do the star cut, it'll kind of cut into those, and it's actually the best way to optimize the size of the die. I've got a copper lap here. I'm putting 1200 grit on it. And I'll smush that into the copper.
Медная пластина. И что-то намазал на нее, типа, гридой, чтобы какой-то мазь такое. Рубин у него.
Use ruby because it's really hard. Aside from diamonds, it's like the cheapest, one of the cheaper hard things.
Ля-ля. И стороны.
Okay, I got all the star facets in. It's looking great. We'll go ahead and polish it up from here. I used a different lap than I normally do for polishing. This is because I needed really flat facets so that the frosted edges would look really good, like just really crisp lines. This is a dark side lap with cerium oxide on it. And it did give very flat facets. They did take a long time though, coming from 1200 grit.
Ой, ой. И углы типа звездочки. Он шлифует до этого, до
What's
прозрачности,
going to make
значит.
this die special is I want to frost the edges. This is an effect that I've seen other fasteners do, and every time I see it, it looks amazing. So to do this, I used 1200 grit on copper. I didn't run the lap, I just scraped the stone back and forth a few times.
Я так понял, он делает острые края. Ой, какая красота. Пец.
About 3 years ago, I had some money burning a hole in my pocket. I went on the internet to find the highest quality dice I could find, and I just couldn't find what I was looking for. I was really lucky because my dad's a hobbyist jeweler, and he had an old rickety faceting machine laying around. So I was able to play around with that, and it
Да, через
really
нагрев он
reduced
снимает.
the barrier to entry. I started cutting my first icosahedron out of like a sedimentary rock that I found in my backyard. And it took me like 60 hours to cut the first one because I was using silicon carbide paper and it just didn't work very well. But from there I started to perfect the process of cutting them, and the numbering process took like 8 months to figure out, working 9 to 12 at night. And I was kind of worried that I wouldn't ever figure out a numbering process, but eventually I got there. And now I love the process as much as I love the dice.
О, DVD-диск. Стоит. Будет его использовать, ясно.
Because polishing the first side was so slow, going from 1200 grit on copper, I thought I would try a new lap. So what I'm going to try here is a zinc plus lap from Gear Loose Lapidary, and I'm going to put 3000 grit on it. This should speed up the polishing time a lot.
Полировка. Не полированный и полированный, как зеркало. Ну, тут еще протереть, я так понимаю, надо. Ой. Ля. Угу.
The numbering process is really stressful. You get done spending hours cutting this beautiful stone, and the numbering process is so tedious, and there are so many ways to mess it up.
Угу.
When all the effort is
Нанесение
done,
номеров.
and the die emerges from the
Тяжелые.
mask, and I can marvel in its beauty, it makes all the
Да.
hours worth it.
О. Ой. Ну, циферки, да, это очень кропотливая работа, так вот и нести. Ой. Красота. И сколько такой стоил бы? С учетом самого сапфира, ручной работы. Вот это вот дайсик, да. Это я понимаю. Это не смола стороны. 3 миллиона просмотров. Да, согласен. Красота вообще. Всем спасибо за внимание. Всем пока.